And there we are. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Real Northern Bass Talk. I am your host, Sean. Also joined by co-host, Sean.
Hi.
Oh, man. I have had a pretty good day, so I'm just in a stupid, silly mood. How you doing, bud?
Hanging in there. Just crushed some
Yeah.
chicken wings with my kid.
Yeah, that was amazing, by the way. And it was funny when you said that because I was like, ooh, we're getting pizza tonight, too. We got some really good brick oven pizza here in town. And I may have eaten like 6 of 8 slices of a large pizza, but I ate light lunch and, mowed my lawn. I was running around like a madman. Totally worth it. Don't care. No regrets.
And I
All right.
apologize in advance to my camera, but
Nah, don't sweat it. So that's why we were like, I don't know what, 2 minutes late trying to get this started for some reason that neither one of us could figure out. The resolution coming in on Sean's camera, it's literally just the video feed. The audio is fine, but the video feed is just a smidge delayed and a little choppy. And we couldn't figure it out. So it is what it is. As long as the audio is good, then we're good. All right. The plan for tonight, open topic night. This has probably been the longest stretch that we've had in between open topic nights. I like to try and do it every 6-ish weeks. It just works out because we talk about so many different things. And inside of that 6-week window, with the exception of the middle of winter, like a lot changes out on the water. So it's nice to be able to just break it wide open and talk about anything and everything you guys want. So we can answer a bunch of questions that you may have that don't necessarily fit into any of the other topics we have done. And especially when we have guests, that those tend to be a lot more loosey-goosey and not always specific even on a topic, but that's what these nights are for. We have a lot of options. So that's the plan. I will say for next week, this is the only kind of pre-stream announcement. In the meantime, you got questions, start throwing them in there. We will fill the time with plenty of other things to talk about. But as far as a proper pre-stream announcement goes, next week I will be up on Lake Champlain, starting that Wednesday, May 14th, and I'll be there through Sunday. My plan is to try and live stream from the lake. Sean, I don't know how this is going to go. I've been told that the internet up there is good. I have run into issues where that is not always the case, and it's not good enough for me to stream. I don't even know what I'm going to bring for equipment. It's the camera, not a problem. Audio, I don't know. I have a really nice mic for the camera that I'm using. I think it might work. I don't know. Figure it out. Right now, that is the plan next week. We're going to do it. I don't know how it's going to work. It might be a disaster. We'll just take it as it goes next week. That's all I got, man. I don't know. What are you doing this weekend? Well, wait for people to start firing off questions for us. What are your plans this weekend? Keep in mind it's Mother's Day, so there's really only one right answer for Sunday.
well, so funny story about that. My wife has a friend coming down with her 2 kids. She's newly single, I guess, so it's her first Mother's Day by herself.
Okay.
Not my wife, by the way. And so she kind of like sprung that on me, and I was like, okay. And then I'm like, well, all right then. I'm going fishing on Sunday too. So we're going to do some fishing on Saturday. We're also going to do some fishing on Sunday. But Saturday, I'm going to start off with some testing on a new prop that I got. So see how that goes.
Yeah, that 4-blade monster.
Yeah, it'll be good. I went up a pitch, added a blade, added some vent holes. We put a Mercury prop on a Yamaha show. So it'll be fun.
I'm sure it'll be fine. What's the
It's been tested before by someone who's far more intelligent than I am when it comes to this stuff. So yeah.
Perfect. What's the any chance you're gonna be able to get up to the St. Lawrence Saturday, last day it's open?
Well, I don't know. Probably not. But I've seen a bunch of people catching monsters up there. So all right.
Yeah.
We're gonna hang close to home and see if we can't put a hurting on them over here before they snuggle up in their beds.
There you go. That's what I like to hear, buddy. I, for one, am probably not fishing at all this weekend. I made a promise to my oldest son to take him to some like diesel truck event, and that's Friday evening. And then Saturday, kids have sports in the morning, and then we're doing a little get together with my best friend Chris and his wife, because both their 40th birthdays are like a couple weeks apart, and we're coming up on that rather rapidly. So we're gonna do a little 40th bash with all of them, and then Sunday's Mother's Day. My wife already signed me up for a bunch of yard work that I've been putting off for too long. So that's the plan for me for this weekend. But I get to go up to Lake Champlain starting Wednesday next week, all the way through Sunday with my buddy David Roy, which I gotta get in touch with him because I think we're leaving very early Wednesday. I want to make the most of it. And I actually gotta reach out to Dan at Ben's Tackle Shack to see if he has some jig trailers that I really desperately need. Because I'm very, very low. Maybe some Kitex. A-rig time, baby. Maybe. I don't know. One of my subscribers is up there right now fishing one of my favorite areas, and they are hammering them. Just all pre-spawn monsters. All friggin' moving baits, all up shallow. It's pretty awesome. Sean has turned into the GoPro man. There he is.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm trying to like fix my camera real quick while you're talking, and I don't know that it's gonna work, but whatever.
It's good, man. Don't sweat it. All right, on to the questions. That's not so much a question as it is a statement. Hi, Sean. I see you caught some good ones so far. That would actually be applicable to both of us, sir. And how do you do? We've both had a pretty good start to the season. I think Sean's had a better start to the season than I have. I got that one bigger fish, but I've only got the 3 over 5. Well, 2 5s and a 6. You've got how many over 5 now? I'm trying to think. I have a 6,
4.
2 5s, and a 4. That's it.
4. I think my smallest fish of the year has been a 3. So
that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah. Dogbone, Sean, you're a lose guy. Any experience with the new Paramag ITB technology? No, not yet. I really wanted to get one of those to try out this year, and I forget when they were supposed to be back in stock, but it was going to take forever, and I'm an impatient man, and I want to start using my setups now. So I said, nope, never mind. I'll wait, and I'll get it, I don't know, at some point. I'll wait till they're like really well back in stock, probably in the next month or two. Then I'll pick one up. I mean, there's plenty of jig fishing that I can do this summer, and that's what I plan on throwing that with, because then I know I'm going to get the most use out of it. I'm going to put it through its paces really, really hard. I'll be able to give a really good idea, for feedback on really what that reel can do. I might try and throw some jerk baits on it. Like, I don't know. I'll try and go through like the whole range of what it can do. But as far as like testing how well it'll hold up, I'm going to beat the crap out of it with a jig. We'll see how it goes. Ooh, Sean Place. What's y'all swim bait goals for this year? You first, bud.
I don't know. I mean, I think I've already kind of done my swim bait goals, but for me, my swim bait goals are to get more comfortable with wake baits and crank downs.
Well, right now,
and crawlers.
Right now, it's the perfect time for all those things, and especially that post-spawn bite. Like, you know how it is, like maybe 2 weeks after all the largemouth beds just kind of empty out, and like they're kind of in recovery mode, but then they come back like fierce and ferocious. They're just like chewing everything. That's when I've had.
They're chasing bluegill.
Yep. And then that's when I pull out the crank downs, and my God, it is just dumb fun. Just a giant square bill mode, getting it around any sort of structure I can find, deflect it where I can off of rocks, and just hold on. My God, it's so much fun. You're coming into the best time of the year to be able to start throwing that stuff again.
Yeah, but I've always hated crankbaits. So I think that's my problem, is I don't give enough time or effort to the wakes and the crank downs, because to me they're just like either a crankbait that just doesn't crank down, or a crankbait that cranks down, and I just don't like crankbaits, and so it doesn't matter how big or small it is, I just don't like it. So I just have to force myself to go out and fish it.
That's fair. I get that. I can understand that. Man, when you're gonna get a day out there where you're just gonna work a crank down, and I know you've got quite a few options there, but if you've got one that goes down like 3 to 4 feet, I feel like it's kind of money, at least for the ponds around me. The structure I know they like to hang on, and especially as they're crashing into a bunch of bluegill and various bait fish, but especially the bluegill. And I've got 2 crank downs that like 3 to 4 feet is kind of their magic number. And there's 7-inch crankdowns. So it's like a giant square bill for me. And oh my God, you're just cranking along, you're trying to deflect off a little lily pad thing here and then a twig there and then a rock. And when you hit a rock just right, it's like good douche as it comes off the side. And then it just stops. It's like not like a tick thump, not like a dunk, just stops. You're like, yeah, swing. There's something about that post spawn crankdown bite that just it's fun. It's different. Like, I mean, it's just kind of mindless, right? Like you said, it's like crankbait. You just chuck it out and just grind it all the way back, trying to deflect, and then it just stops. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I mean, for me, just like some of the soft bait, some of the line throughs, and then the glide bait bite is just too hard to pass up a lot of times. And I have a lot of glides, and so yeah, I don't know. I've got just enough. I don't need any more.
Spot on. So exactly.
I was gonna say I have too many. But then my wife would be right. So I have just enough.
She looking at you from
missing
the side?
a couple. No, she's in a different room right now, and the door's closed. So yeah.
I tell you what, for me, the two things that you said you're doing well with, the glide and the line through, those are my goals. I want more glide fish, and I'm bumming because I went local this past Sunday, and they were just really starting to stack them on beds. I did all right with the swim jig, like first thing in the morning, and then a couple more stragglers here and there in inches of water throughout the day, but they were all just really starting to get on beds. But I did get one in a creek bed that I had my 7-inch trick shad from Bull Shad, that gold shiner, and that creek is stacked with golden shiners, regular shiners. So I'm like, gonna go up there and just see what happens. I think third cast, I'm like panning around trying to find it because it's in like 3 feet of water. And I finally see it 40 feet from the boat, and there is a blob behind it. I'm like, oh, I just give it another twitch, just not changing anything I've been doing the 50 feet before I saw it. Give another twitch, and I felt a little tick behind it. I'm like, oh my God, yes. And I just like went to lean into it, and I pulled it out of the freaking fish's mouth, and I saw him scoot away on forward facing sonar, and I was very sad. But that's my goal. I want more glide fish, and I want my first line through fish because I still have not caught one on the line through, and it bothers me because that's something I'd really like to get one on. That's it. That's it for me with the swim bait goals. That's for damn sure. Sean Place, when does St. Lawrence reopen? You know that. Ontario and St. Lawrence? Oh, you're muted. How'd you mute yourself? Hang on. No, you're still muted. Can't unmute your guest because they chose to mute themselves. How interesting. In the meantime, oh, wait. Yes, Sean? Nope. Still can't hear you. What happened? Where'd the audio go? Oh, no. Sean, to answer your question. Oh, there you are. Wait. I think I heard you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, you're back.
Yay. I was just going to say another side goal of mine for swim baits is to not lose swim baits this year.
Yeah. Nope, never mind. I'm going to say it. I agree with you on that. Yes. I refuse to jinx myself. Sean places question. When's the St. Lawrence reopen? Do you know? St. Lawrence and Lake Ontario? It's sometime in June. That's all I can remember.
I think it's like second Sunday in June or something in New York. It's like June 15th, June 21st, something like that in New York. But
I think it's the third. Third Sunday.
Does the Canadian side close?
Yes. Whatever it starts a couple weeks ago to the last day the Canadian side is open is May 10th. Then it all closes to bass fishing until everything reopens that third Saturday or Sunday, whatever the hell it is in June.
Yeah, there's no catch and release on the New York side. But
no, they just don't even allow it.
Yeah, it says May 10th. May 10th in Ontario. So it's open through May 10th and then opens.
You got
June
it.
15th.
There you go. June 15th. Okay. I feel like that's earlier than it used to be, but I could be entirely wrong.
Well,
Well,
so Champlain is weird. So Champlain actually opens up a week, like a week earlier at times. Its second Saturday in June is Vermont. And so because it's a shared waterway, oftentimes that's when we would have like the Plunder Bay opener, like a first starter tournament. Would be a week before the technical opener for New York State, but Champlain was a special body of water because it was shared by 2 states.
Yeah. Very strange. Which Plunder Bay Open I was looking forward to, but I know not happening. And then there's that other one, the Ticonderoga Open, that got canceled like 2 months ago. It's been maybe 6 weeks ago or something like that.
We've been talking about bringing it back, but the problem that we face is that where it was being held didn't have sufficient amenities for a tournament of that size. While the docks were great and the space was great, the ramp and the parking was ample parking, but the ramp sucked.
Yeah, the ramp was awful.
And then we ran into like some issues with one of the local clubs that we were, I guess, running it with, and so like it had shut down after COVID and never came back. And then so a buddy and I kind of resurrected it, and we put it on for a year. It didn't go very well with the club that we were running it with, so we decided to part ways with them after the first year. We just didn't like what we were getting from them. It wasn't a good situation, so we decided to part ways and be able to do it on our own. And then, we were obviously looking for a new venue, and the state of Vermont's supposedly working on the Larrabee's access area to make 2 different ramps and like 4 different sides. So like they bought a bunch of land and they were going to put a ton of parking in and the whole 9 yards. And so we're waiting for that to kind of take shape. And then we were working with some other like national brands and stuff to try to make it like a big tournament. So we're just kind of waiting for a bunch of stuff to happen. And if that happens, then we'll discuss potentially putting it back on again. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious about that Larrabee's boat ramp. When that's supposed to happen. I heard it was supposed to be already working on it.
Yeah, they were supposed to start it last year.
Really? Oh, I thought it was supposed to be like beginning of this spring.
Yeah, so it was supposed to start last year, and then they were supposed to do some stuff throughout the winter and stuff like that. And so it should have been moving around pretty good. I mean, last year and this year it should have been done by the end of this year, like that we're in right now. So I don't know. It's to the sounds of it, and I haven't been up there because I moved away. The sounds of it is like they really haven't done much of anything. So we'll see. It's a nice tournament, but like everything that that you and I do, and people that are close to me, if we're gonna do something and we're gonna put our name on it, we want it to be done properly and done in a way that we can walk away and be proud of it at the end of the day, knowing that we did what we were supposed to do, that we ran a tight ship, a great tournament, something that people were proud to fish in. And if there was any sliver of bad whatever or shadow of a doubt, then we didn't want to be part of it, because we're tying our name, our reputation, our hard work and effort into that. So we're leveraging relationships that we have with brand partners, national partners and stuff like that, and we want them to be proud of it just as we're proud of it. So if we can't do it 100%, we're not doing it at all.
Yep, I totally get that and respect it. It's got to be done a certain way. All right. Mr. Higgs, any sneaky tips on using a working man swim jig in late spawn, early post spawn? In the late spawn, I can't help there. I just avoid that bite at all costs. I will chase that pre-spawn bite north, which is why I keep going to Lake Champlain this time of the year every year now for the 6th season in a row. 5th 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 6th season. No, because I didn't go in 2020. First time went. Okay, 5th season in a row that we going up there this time of the year, because that northern end, obviously it's almost on the Canadian border where we do a lot of our fishing, but also on the New York side, there's so much current and deep water out there that water stays cold for a long while. So there is like literally thousands of acres of water out there that you can go chase that's just wicked cold, and you can find that pre-spawn bite for ages, and you can follow that right into the point where there's nothing but beds left. And then you go down the other end of the lake and everything's been like several weeks post-spawn, or you come all the way back down to southern New Hampshire and everything's like definitively post-spawn. Anywhere I say southern New Hampshire, literally anywhere that's got like a 100-acre pond or smaller where the average depth is 10 feet. Those things are starting to get stacked with beds as we speak. And in 3 or 4 weeks, it's going to be a nice post-spawn bite. So I avoid it. Can't help with anything that has to do with spawn, but early post-spawn, fine, dude. Like if you know the areas where the bluegill are going to be spawning, just focus in on those areas and just outside those areas. Get in on the lily pads, like the thicker vegetation, up shallow transition areas to those spawning flats, like any of those spots for me. That's where like I will just go and beat the crap out of those areas with that swim jig. And I know I talked about in the video where I will bounce between either a swim bait or a craw type trailer just rigged sideways. I will only do a swim bait trailer at this point. And I know like you could get away with a craw type trailer sideways, and that's a kind of a broader, taller profile. But I just go with like a 4-inch swim bait paddle tail on the back, and I just hammer them with it. And I try and get it a little bit bluegilly in color. That's really all there is to it. Just get up there, and you can start fishing it fast too. Like there's days I'll even throw on a 3/8 ounce, like something like a swim jig, either a proper 3/8 ounce swim jig or like the 3/8 ounce little Magnum from Beast Coast Fishing. That's not a swim jig, but works great as a swim jig. And that thing will like easily go through thick vegetation. So you can throw something like that, a little bit heavier, work it fast. It's really, really good. I don't know. Sean, do you have anything to add on the swim jig? This headphone cable is going to bother me.
No, I don't. What you said was very good too, with the fact that like you can follow stuff up the lake. At least a place like Champlain, or some place that has some shallow water and some deeper, colder water. You can fish pre-spawn for a while, and then by the time you get back to the other side, kind of you're post-spawn and let it recover. For me, if I'm fishing a jig post-spawn, a lot of the time it's like kind of really slow and stuff like that, because until they really kind of get their groove back, they're really slow, they're really lethargic, they don't really want to expend a lot of energy because the spawn basically almost brought them to the brink of death, and that takes a real toll on their bodies. So I think that the better we can handle the fish and respect the fish once we do catch them and get them back in the water, without keeping them out, it stresses them out, the spawn does, and then handling them after too. So post-spawn blues are a thing and they suck. So you just got to try to find a spot where the fish are pumped up and active.
Yep. See, perfect.
I think my camera's a little bit better.
I was literally just about to say, I don't know what happened, but your video is coming through perfect now.
Yeah, so I'm going to change it back to 1080p now. So I switched it to 720, but I found that I had a OneDrive folder that was trying to upload like a few terabytes of stuff.
I told you that. I said that before the stream. I was like, you sure there isn't something trying to upload in the background?
I've closed everything. I apologize, people. I literally got a new computer last week, and I've been trying to like sync everything and do all this stuff, and now things are running in the background, and it's got a mind of its own. But we're back on track here, and now you can see my ugly mug once again.
I'm going to go a little bit out of order only because we just talked about bed fishing a little bit. And Dropman asked, how do I target beds in ultra clean lake with grass mixed into the rocks and the bass are not hitting a wacky or a Ned? This is what I had today. He did add another comment to say specifically largemouth beds, power shot / drop shot. That's in the instances where we've been on a lake thinking we may have avoided the spawn entirely, and we get there and it's just stacked with largemouth beds. We drove 2 hours to go find this place, and it's like, well, Sure, we'll fish for 2 hours, we'll snipe some beds, and we'll go home. Drop shot, if you can sneak it in there, or power shot, which is drop shot on a casting setup, slightly heavier line. That's the only thing I found that really works like that, specifically for largemouth in those kind of mix of rocks and vegetation. You got to like slide it in there, but I still want that bait to just sit right in front of their face and piss them off and just make that thing dance. No 5-inch, I don't know, reaction innovations, flirt worm, something like that. Just put it right in their face and dance the hell out of the thing. They'll eventually hit it. I don't know. Sean, you got anything?
I think obnoxious colors works well too, like something that just kind of pisses them off and definitely makes them like go, "What the hell is that?" I am not shy about throwing like a bluegill profile and some like bigger baits too, because bass are very territorial. So the bluegill will basically follow the bass in and they eat the bass fry. And then after the spawn, the bass move out and the bluegill take their beds. And then the bass move back in and the bass hammer on the bluegill fry. So anytime that you can throw like a bluegill up and around the bed, you can have some good luck doing that. For me, it's like either a really slow, like an extra slow sink, like swimming swimbait, or like a slow sink or like a suspending glide bait kind of thing. You just kind of keep it there. They're very territorial and they'll kind of slap at it to get it away and oftentimes get themselves hooked. But I don't know. I try not to like you said, like it's really fun to go out there and just hammer them on the bed, but anyone can do that. And so it's, for me, I'd rather not catch a bunch of the males. I'd rather catch the bigger females that are, off out of the way staging, or have kind of done their thing and kind of moved on and recovered. So,
yeah, he did add one more comment. The bass have run off the beds since they saw the boat. That means you got there early, in my opinion. If they're that skittish, they just got on beds, and that's typically not when they're. I mean, if you're all about plucking, they're not ready. Them's is fresh fish up there. Oh, Miguel Rodriguez. Do you guys pay attention to moon cycles during the month you're fishing?
no.
Oh, you bud. That makes two of us.
Like DJ is really like into like moon cycles and like moon phases and stuff like that. And maybe that's just like I don't know, like the hyperfixation in him. That's like the hippie in him, with the with the moon phase and stuff and the rain dances. But no, I mean, for me, like, dude, I get 1 day a week right now to fish, and so I don't care if the moon's full, no moon, half moon, waxing gibbous, waning gibbous, whatever the heck they call it. Like, I don't care, man. I'm going out there. I'm gonna fish. I'm gonna try to figure it out. Some days, it works better than others, but I'm gonna throw the kitchen sink at them no matter what, and I try not to focus on like, moon phases. I don't know. Anybody got time for that?
No, you're right. If I was fishing like I used to before I had kids, 3 to 5 days a week, totally different story. I'd be looking at all that shit. I get Sunday, man. Every once in a while I get a Friday afternoon with the family, but like I'm not paying attention to any of those details. I show up to the lake and I'm just happy that I get an extra 3 hours during the week to go out in my boat. So I'm gonna lock a jig and something moving in my hands and hope for the best, and I'll try and figure it out in that window. Once I know what the water temp is. On a rare occasion, I also get most of a Saturday where I don't get quite a full fishing trip, but it's more than just a, quick 2-3 hour session. But really, the only thing I get to count on is Sundays. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if it's 80 bluebird skies and not a single even breath of wind, or if it's 40 and blowing 50 miles an hour and the rain and sleet. I get what I get. It's just tell me what the water temperature is when I get there, and I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's like water temp, wind, clarity. Do I see fish chasing my bait? Are they hugging the bottom? Are they suspended? And just kind of go from there. I'm not like, ooh, there's a new crawfish hatch. Because I'm always throwing a jig anyway, so it doesn't matter if there's a crawfish hatch or not. Crawfish that have hatched or are going to hatch are already hatched, and they're just much bigger than the ones that haven't hatched yet. So I don't know. That's the way I look at it. Like it or not, that's my answer.
That was perfect.
You know, I don't know how to describe it. Like I'm always throwing a jig, and I always have like one or two open water snipers tied on, and it just is what it is. I'll throw some other jigs too, but like it's going down either way, and like that's really one of the things. And I don't know, in my opinion, and maybe I don't know, but that's like really affected by like moon phases and stuff like that. So
Right. No, and it's fun. I always have multiple jigs tied on wherever I go, just like you said. And if I'm going somewhere that I know that's got some like clean bottom, I will have multiple snipers tied on in addition to the other regular jigs I have tied on everywhere I go. There's a reason why I did that whole jig fishing series. I live and die by these damn things because they're that good. They're so consistent, and you just bank on it. Although it's funny, I say that, and this year, with the exception of like a swim jig bite, my regular jig bite has been awful. This has been the worst start to my season in a long time for a jig. Which is probably why it was a rough start anyway, because I couldn't put it down. The only days I was skunking, I'm like, they're gonna need a jig. It's gonna happen. I tried everything else.
Once. I picked up a traditional jig once, and I hooked a monster and then lost him at the boat. And then I put the jig back in my rod locker and didn't pick it up again. I still haven't picked it back up again. It's in timeout. Dude, I hooked a monster largemouth. Monster. And like I saw him cruising. There was like two of them. I just like pitched it to him. It hit the bottom. I pulled it up once and just felt it. And I was like, set the hook. And then I got it to the boat and I was like, yeah, no, it's gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, it did. I have no words. It was big. But whatever. We went and hammered on a bunch of other fish and got a bunch more giants and stuff like that on swim baits, which is way cooler than catching them on a jig. So,
yeah, truth. I tell you what, when I'm going up to Champlain next week, well, funny, my buddy Scott Smith, he's the one that invited me along. So the rare trip where I don't have to do like any of the organizing, he just did it. And they're like, hey, we got extra space. You want to come? Yep, sign me up. Be there. He just caught a 7 3/4 largie Saturday in New Hampshire on a sniper. He saw it. He was up kind of shallowish, like 5 or 6 feet of water, I think he said. They saw her cruising, and he was like, oh, no way. Pitched a sniper out in front of it, and she went right down on it. Thumped it. Wild. But anyway, when I go up to Champlain, like, I've already gone up there and caught, like, literally hundreds of fish on a jig, and I'm going to have a couple tied on, but I'm going to try to just keep it to a couple. Like, I'm going to have a sniper, one sniper. I'm going to have one grass jig, and then that's it. I'm going to do more swim jig stuff. I want to do more crankbaiting this time. But more importantly, because I know the water temperature is setting up just right for our arrival, that we should be able to chase like the absolute prime pre-spawn bite window. And I should be able to chase that all over the northern end of that lake. I am much more focused on the live through swim bait, which there's a good chance I'm going to lose a couple $100 worth of defiance, but I'm willing to risk it. And I always run into pike up there, and there's a damn good chance one was going to bite it. I don't know.
I've never had to worry about pike on the line through baits like that.
Really?
Yeah, they're just so big that they don't like. I've had the bait rip before the line. I've never broken the line on a line through bait.
All right, good to know.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't really worry about it. Pike are dumb too. Like you could literally just have it not moving and they'll miss the entire thing. Like there's so many times where I'm fishing like top water or something like that. I got a frog on there and I see like a pike or a pickerel and I'm like, ooh. Like I want to see if he'll bite this frog. And I'll just leave the frog sitting there and then it hits and like blows up like 6 inches behind the frog. And I haven't touched the frog. And I'm like, what? It's like the air ball in basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you missed it. So
that's my bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, dude, I throw pike or I throw like expensive swim baits around toothy critters, and more often than not, you're fine. I mean, I'm throwing the 23.6 heavy cover for the line throughs.
Yeah, that's what I plan on throwing for mine. Although it's a soft casting. And then speak of the devil, there he is, Mr. Scott Smith himself. Sean, I got to get on an A-rig next week. Yes, that is that's like one of those things where I'm hoping this week we do a lot of, next week we do a lot of different things, with the exception of the A-rig. Like if I can go out there and just hammer them on an A-rig all day, all 5 days we're there, I will not be upset by that whatsoever, because that is about one of the most fun, amazingly addictive bites I've ever run into. And I've had some phenomenal days up there. And I think it's honestly one of the probably the best ways to put in like a 20+ pound bag up there consistently. Because Andrew and I have done it so many times, it's not even funny. Like it's just dumb. But I want line through and the glide bite up there. That's what I really want. I do think if they're still where I think they're going to be and still pre-spawn, like they currently are right now, and it's going to be near thing, I can probably work a crank down up there in the same areas I'd work a swim jig or a jackhammer and probably whale on them. I'm going to try a couple of different glides I have and working them kind of fast. Just basically like a fast jerk bait, just friggin' burn, quick pause, burn, quick pause. And I'm hoping I can get them doing that too. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting into too many details. We'll save all that stuff for next Wednesday. Talk Champlain.
If you
Talk nothing but
throw
Champlain.
the A-rig, try the 765F for the A-rig.
The 765F. I have the 765 XF. I don't remember if I have the F. I will have to look. I know I have the 745F, and neither one of those will do that.
Nope. The
Here's
765F.
I
Great
have
A-rig.
I know, but I have my 805, and I love that rod for the A-rig.
That'll work.
805F. It's overkill, but it is glorious. It is. It's fun. And the thing is, like, that's like loaded up and like, all right, here you go, 200 feet. Let's go, bud. And then you get bit on the end of it, like, you're coming in the boat. It's too much fun. All right, back on track. Drew Santiago, that working man's jig put a clinic on. Oh, sorry, just put a clinic out there for me tonight. Just going with the boy. Hell yeah, man. That's what I like to hear. Ned Ninja. Here's a little more niche question on jigs, specifically hair jigs, and more specifically the Hustler. Do you throw them bare? If not, what style trailers would you both lean towards? You want to take that one first?
Sure. So for me, I'll throw it both ways. I'll throw it naked, and I'll also throw it with a trailer on there. I prefer the Hustler with a very, very, very small trailer. For me, it's either a really, really tiny, like almost like hula grub style trailer with like small little arms, or a small little swim bait, very similar to like the slow flow. You can throw like a little magic flick on there, flat, like a Maxent flatworm. You can throw on there too, like just something really small. Like you don't need a lot of something. You just need something that's going to move a little bit, because the marabou in there is just going to kind of flare up as it is. I prefer to throw it with the trailer, but anything that I do on that is going to be super small because they have the like the screw lock keepers on them. Yeah,
I completely agree with everything that you said. I will. The only thing I can add to that is, if I did a specific craw trailer that I really like, is the Strike King Rage Tail Baby, like the baby Rage craw. That's really good on there. What the hell is it? The Rage Chunk Junior, I think. That one's also really good. Give me either the Spark Shad 3-inch, the Beast Coast Slow Flow 2.85-inch, or Kitech Fat Swing Impact Fat 2.8 to 3.3-inch. Not any bigger than the 3.3. There's been on a random occasion the 3.8 has worked, but like the 2.8 to 3.3, like somewhere right around 3 inches on that jig, the size of that hook, everything, like it just works really, really well. And I will throw out a random one for you. It was dumb, but it worked really well several times. And I have to give our buddy Alec props for this. The literally only thing
don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Okay, I can't say it.
No, I mean you should say it, but I'm just gonna give you shit from now on for
no, it's fine.
it.
It's literally the only thing I've ever bought from Guggen, but they're rattling Ned. if you can find anything that rattles, even if you get one of those like rattle and rage, if they can do a small one, the regular rage cost too big. But that rattle and Ned on the back of it was the dumbest thing. Andrew and I went out for a tournament, and man, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And we'd already had really, really good days with the Hustler. And Andrew throws just a TRD on the back and wails on him. And I was like, okay, that works. Cool. All right, noted. And we were in another tournament, ones we have fished in the fall. And man, it was another struggle on the lesser of those two lakes. Struggling start for me. It's like third year in a row we're out there and Andrew's just wailing on him. I'm like, yep, that's cool. Hour 3, I still don't even have a bite yet. Finally, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I pulled out a Hustler and I tied on that rattling. I put the rattling net on it and I bombed it out. First cast, I had a 3.5 pound small. I'm like, okay, this is my life.
It's I love you, but I hate you for saying that.
I know. I apologize profusely to everybody I have offended.
Oh, God damn it. You know, it works. It's different. It's just enough to kind of like, I don't know, gather some attention from fish around, you know. I don't know. I just think that the quality of the soft plastics just isn't there. They don't hold up to multiple fish. You catch one fish, the rattle's gone, the bait's exploded. I don't care if it's the bandito bug or whatever. Like,
yeah,
they just don't hold up. They just shred apart. Like, you could cast it and you're like, you reel it back in and there's no bait or the bait's blown apart. And you're like, I didn't even do anything. I just literally put this on. And just from it touching the water or like being out of the package, it just like fully disintegrated. There's nothing left. You just wasted your $5.99 at Dick's or wherever you bought it. Like, it's just, I don't know. To me, I just have never had good luck with any of their products. It's just they're exceptional at marketing. I think, but their plastic sucks.
Yep, that's what it all boils down to. This is a quick and easy one. I saw this earlier and I meant to grab this faster. Brandon, new to me Nitro, you're having problems with your outboard, specifically Yamaha. I don't know where exactly in Maine you are, but if Rochester, New Hampshire is not too far of a drive for you, NECC, New England Correct Craft in Rochester. They are certified Yamaha mechanics. They've been around forever. They do phenomenal work. Anything else around the Lake Winnipesaukee area will also get you in good shape. Seven Lakes Marina, which is near Great East Lake. I can't remember what town it is, but it's on the Maine New Hampshire line, just like a little bit further south. They're primarily a Mercury dealer, but I'm assuming they'll work on anything. I could be wrong. They're also worth a shot, but I would start with New England Correct Craft, NECC. Start with them. See where you get with that. Good luck.
You can also try a hydrofoil. Some of those older nitros. I used to have a Nitro NX882. That thing was a great little boat. It had a 150 XR6 on the back, but the hydrofoil helped it get up on plane a little bit better. Obviously, just make sure that the motor's firing on all cylinders, like change out spark plugs, make sure that it's getting all the power that it should be too. You can also check to see, like, when you press the gas or throw the throttle all the way forward, that it's pulling the entire throttle body or like the wire, because it's drive-by-wire on those ones. So like you want to make sure that it's opening it up fully, because I've seen like hot foots they're not fully down, they're not pulling the throttle wide open. It could be a bunch of different things. Your weight could be off. It may be too heavy in the back, so try putting some weight up front in the bow on those boats. But you got to tinker first. That would be the first thing before I drop it off at a shop, because they're going to go, we didn't find anything wrong with it. $500, please.
Yeah.
And so like I would always try all of those other things too, and just kind of like go up, new spark plugs, fresh oil change, making sure it's getting full throttle, move some weight from the back into the front of the boat to get the bow a little bit heavier, so the bow wants to settle down faster. But you got to just, when you're getting on those boats, just hammer on it, right? Full throttle, and wait for it to kind of fall down, and then you can kind of back off the throttle if you don't want to run wide open. But good luck.
All very, very, very good insights and help on that. Yep, brain hydrofoil I can also recommend. Very, very helpful if you got, especially if your boat's kind of underpowered. Typically I found that with like older motors, just older boats in general. I don't know. I had my dad's Ranger. We had a 150 on it. It's rated for up to 200 horse. It came with 150. Thing was dog. We put a hydrofoil on it. Thing would stand up, like get on pad in the blink of an eye. It's ridiculous how much of a difference they make.
Check your prop too. And like we were just talking about this at the beginning of the stream, right? Like I got a new prop on my motor. So it could be over propped, meaning that there's not enough torque to get the prop to spin. Like your motor's not powerful enough to get the prop to spin adequately to get it to bite or engage. It's just like it bogs it down. So there is such a thing as being like over propped, and there is a thing about being under propped. Under propped, like you'll just hit the rev limiter. This obviously doesn't sound like this, so it could be too big of a prop. Maybe you need to, pull it's a Yamaha, so there's no exhaust ports on it on a Yamaha prop. That would be mine. Do a little bit of research what props other people are running and make sure that the pitch is correct. And consult the shop over the phone first. See if they can give you any tips before you drive it anywhere.
There you go. Mike Bradley, any plans on having Andrew pop on a live from Florida with an update on things eventually, but not anytime soon? Like I'm just trying to give him his space and his time to do his thing. We still talk almost every week, so we haven't talked in almost 2 weeks. No, that's a lie. We've barely talked in the last 2 weeks, but almost his whole family went down. Because he lives with his oldest sister, his other sister, and her kids, and his mom. They all just went down. They were there for about a week ish. They all just left the other day. So I'll touch base with them probably tomorrow. But yes, there is some form of an idea to make that happen. But more importantly, he's probably coming back up here at some point this summer, and we're going to do a Champlain trip. So we'll do something then. Methinks. Maybe. Little Rich, Swimbait goal. Learn how to tune a glide better than I do now. That is a really good goal. Andrew's good at that. I suck at it.
Learn to fish your baits the way they come before you start tinkering with them. I will. Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Especially, well, I guess it depends on the brand, but most of them, if they're garage built, you don't have to touch them. You do not have to finagle. A lot of guys will start screwing with baits, and they completely screw them up. There's some baits that you can like tighten the swim or make it a little bit more choppy, and people will start trying to put their own spin on things and do things that the baits aren't designed to do, and you don't get good results, right? Like if you try to burn a choppy bait, sometimes it doesn't always work out for you. It'll blow out or roll over. There's just certain baits that are made to do certain things, and they excel at certain things and not at others. And there's some baits that you can fish a bunch of different ways. Learn to fish it first. Get on Universe and stuff like that. Talk to people how they're tuning them before you start tinkering with them. And if you have questions, you always reach out to the bait maker first, because chances are they probably tried it. And if you start screwing with stuff and you screw it up, you'll get chastised, especially on like Universe. But there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge out there, so utilize that and always talk to the bait maker.
Well said, sir. Illuminati Tau, what's your cadence using the swing/wobblehead? Whoa.
Pass.
I like power dragging that, and I'm using the advantage of that swinging hook behind the head when I'm power dragging it. And I mean, I really only use this when the water's warmer and I can fish it a little bit faster. You can get away with just swimming the thing, and the turbulence of the larger profile bait, or just your bait in general, will allow it to kind of swing freely and kind of go all over the place when you're like swimming it. And especially if you're trying to kind of bounce it off along things in the bottom. If you've got like a Strike King Rage Bug or something like that on the back where there's a lot of action in those appendages, then that thing will move around a lot more than just like the legs themselves kicking and dancing as you're swimming it through. But if I'm working on the bottom, like I'm power dragging that thing. I am getting on the bottom. I'm using heavy line, and I'm just like, I'm trying to keep on the bottom, but I'm trying to drag it across the bottom as fast as I can while still feeling it. So in that case, I'm going with a 5/8 or a 3/4 ounce head when I'm doing this. I'm moving it fast. I'm trying to make a lot of noise with it. And then big profile, it's just all of a sudden kind of kicks up a little bit when you drag and then you kill it. And it's like, whoosh, it springs up, falls back down. And then that's it. And then just hold on. Because, oh my God, when they hit it, they hammer it. I had phenomenal success doing that. I mean, a number of times over the years, but especially late last year up on Lake Champlain, that bite was really, really good. And I know like Lake Winnipesaukee, that wobblehead bite up there with a variety of baits, like if you can figure out a good way to get it on there is if you can do either just a twin-tailed grub or a twin-tailed hula grub, like it's weird, but it works really, really well for smallmouth up there. Food for thought. Sean hard pass. So on to Steve. Spinnerbait still undefeated.
I don't throw them, so I can't add anything worthwhile. Like I've looked at them and go, these look really cool. And then I've seen the videos and I'm like, those look super cool. But I don't own any. So I have nothing to say.
You know what? Given the bodies of water that you like to fish, and especially the amount of vegetation that you have up there and the fact the fish are up in there, get those the Strike King structure head. I think is what it's called. And it's almost like a spade like profile to the head. So it kind of parts grass as it comes through. If you get any of that kind of crappy schmutz in the bottom, it's going to pick that up. There's nothing you can do about that. But I think if you got that Strike King, structure head and use that, and especially almost like a Carolina rig going through the grass, like you would on Champlain or like you would up on your lakes, I think that would suit your style. That would be worth getting a couple of those, try those out.
Yeah, I'll have to try them out. I mean, I throw a lot of chatterbaits year round. So chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, swimbaits, like small, like 5-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch, paddle tails, weightless, screw lock, jig head style. So
you're the best. Thank you. My wife delivered me water.
Rock star.
Sean said you're a rock star. Sean said you're a rock star. Tell me you heard her.
I didn't hear what she said, but I heard noise.
I am a rock star. That's right.
Damn right she is.
She is. All right, Steve. Spinnerbait still undefeated. Just finished up a 40 fish day with a pair of 4-pounders, mix of post and pre-spawn fish, 1 swimbait fish. It's hard to throw a swimbait when they hit the spinnerbait so well. Oh, dude, 100%. And for the longest time, spinnerbait was my go-to for big fish. And for a very long time, it was for anything like 4.5 pounds and bigger, nothing could come close to it. And then I picked up a swim jig, and that not only rapidly caught up, but exceeded it. And to this day is still better. But that's only because for like the last 3 or 4 years, my spinnerbait bite has been abysmal. And it took me 2 years before I finally understood. And it was really because a friend helped me understand it. I was talking to him about it. I missed that bite so much. And he was like, well, what do you throw? And I told him, he was like, that's why. Because you grew up throwing all these different other spinnerbaits that had a lot more flex to them. And the way you fish them, that worked to your benefit. And this other one does not do that. So the way you're fishing it is very wrong for that. You need to go back to doing these. And I just lost my confidence with it. So I haven't fished it as much as I should. But the few times I've picked it up, like in conditions, I'm like, this is going to work. I went back to that old school, cheaper kind of style, like those softer spinnerbaits, and yep, made all the difference in the world. I am mostly loaded up for Champlain next week. I don't have any of the Defiant spinnerbaits, which actually really bothers me. But I got a couple other ones, some old school ones that I haven't thrown in years that I know they're gonna work. So I'm feeling pretty good. If there's any way, I'm gonna rip the shit out of it.
I got a question for you around spinnerbaits. Yeah. When you were saying that you were throwing the wrong ones for the wrong things, are you talking blades? Are you talking colors? How many blades?
Company.
What was it?
Brand.
Really?
It's too stiff. Had no give. None. So like
were you just like missing hookups or
missing hookups, and it didn't have anywhere near the amount of action to it that I normally would be giving it. Because on a softer wired spinnerbait, when you pump it, the whole thing kind of pops and flexes on itself. The resistance of the blades against the weight of the head, you snap it and they kind of collapse towards each other, and you get a little bit of a poof out of the skirt from it. And I only know this because my buddy put me onto it, and I started doing it beside the boat, and I'm like, holy crap, I never realized that that's what was helping me so much, because I never fished a trailer. And now it was at that point I understood why, for me, on those cheaper, softer spinnerbaits, why that worked. And then on these more durable, like hard, zero give spinnerbaits, I only did well on them when I had a trailer on the back, but it still wasn't enough. So it sounds like it's not that big of a deal, but for me, it is. It's like it is the biggest deal, and it's a confidence thing. So I'm probably overstating it, but the importance of making that connection for why something didn't work for me for so long is, I don't know how else to explain it. All I know is that the moment he gave me that aha moment, and I went and stopped throwing those and went back to the couple of crappier ones that I had that were much softer, my catch rate went through the roof. It's like, okay. And again, like that, those are essentially naked spinnerbaits. I almost never throw a trailer on them.
Interesting, because I always throw trailers. My buddy never throws a trailer and always a stinger hook.
Yep.
But I did pick up some of the Mustad arm lock.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what they're called. Yeah, the Mustad arm lock, and they almost have, it's like the regular spinnerbait, but then over where it like where the eye kind of comes, right, where it gets tied back up, there's another piece that comes off of it, like off of the top, and it hooks onto the head. So it's almost like, I'm going to show a picture, and last time I showed a picture, we remember what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, be careful with what you're showing.
We're on the Google machine this time.
We beat you 3 years in a row on high school tournaments with proper spinnerbaits. Well, that can't be me, because I was there last year, and then I wasn't there for 2 years, and then I was with a different school. So I'm curious. Ooh. Oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I'm trying these out this year. I found a bunch. They were in a bin. I can't even remember what the hell I was doing. I think I was looking for like some new boots or something like that at Sportsman's Warehouse, and there was just a giant bin of these spinnerbaits. And they were on sale, and I was like, okay, they're Mustad. Mustad makes good stuff. They make a good hook. So I'm like, nah, let's try it out. So I picked up a bunch in some different weights. I got some 3/8, I got some 1/2 ounce, and some different colors. And so far they seem to be very sturdy, and I like that, because there's nothing worse than breaking spinnerbaits.
Yeah, true.
It happens all the time. They hit it and it bends apart, and then you try to bend it back gently, and then they never quite swim right, and then you do get them to swim right, and then you catch a fish, and then it breaks, and then you're lucky if your line just doesn't slide off it as you're fighting that fish because it broke in half, and there's nothing for the line to be tied to it.
Truth.
Yeah.
That's a good point, sir. Miguel, again, when targeting smallies, what's the first thing you look for? Rocks, etc., or just focus on water temp and go from there? I got no live, just old school down scan and 2D for screens. You first, sir. I took the last one, I think.
Okay.
Just start, I should say.
Targeting smallies, I'll look for offshore structure. I'll look for ledges and drops into deep water. I will look for bait. If you have down scan and 2D, anytime that I'll see some bait, use your eyes too. Anytime you see like bait fish in the water or something like that, good spot. Rocky areas, if it looks fishy, chances are it probably is pretty fishy. You just got to fish it right, or hope that you've timed it right so the fish are active enough to want to engage with whatever you're throwing. But learn where that offshore structure is, and mark it on your graph, and be able to go back to it and fish it from different directions with different lures. Not having side scan, not having live scope, I think puts you at a very big disadvantage, but could also be viewed as an advantage, because a lot of times you get too drawn in and tied up with staring at your screen to focus on what's really important. it is a great tool to help you rule some stuff out. But I would focus on the stuff that I know is there because you don't have the technology to find the stuff that's not there. If that's makes sense, right? Like, did I say that right?
I understand what you said. I disagree with it, but I understand what you said. I think it's our first disagreement.
Okay. No, like say,
No, no,
say it, right? Like,
no,
but
I have no problem saying it. I was just wanted to
yeah.
make. I didn't want to like jump in yet. I thought I
No,
wanted
no,
to
no,
make
go
sure you
ahead.
were done.
No,
No,
I mean, like,
the
yeah.
only disagreement I
ahead.
have is not side imaging and forward facing sonar for smallmouth. I feel like, yeah, if you want to go offshore, absolutely at a disadvantage. But I mean, really, in the the heart of the summer months, like 3-4 weeks, at least a month post spawn, 4 to 6 weeks. After that point, the water's hot. Like the surface temps are getting into the mid to upper 70s. 100% you're at a disadvantage because it becomes a lot harder for you to find them on structure. And in a lot of cases, for some lakes where you don't even have that option, where they're going to be out there isn't even structure for you to fish in, say, 50, 60 feet of water. But that's kind of a narrow-ish time of the year. Outside of that, as long as you got 2D sonar and you're willing to put in the time and find literally everything else that Sean mentioned, then you're good. You can make that work. Yeah. And the way I always broke it down, Sean already said everything perfect. The one phrase Andrew and I, and prior to Andrew, my buddy Josh and I had before we even had anything for electronics in the boat was, are they feeding up? Or are they feeding down? That's what we're going to answer today. And that was like, we knew enough from history that I had water temperature. That's all I had for the longest time. Like, okay, water's mid to upper 50s. We know it's going to be a pre-spawn bite and they're going to be shallow. So that kind of helps log. Like, I know I'm not going to go out and set out in 40 feet of water. I'm going to start in 15 feet and work shallower from there. And post-spawn, I'm going to start kind of in that same 15-ish feet, and I'm going to go deeper and deeper and deeper as the water gets warmer. That's an easy way to break down depth. Then we always went out with our two favorite things are one for bottom contact and one for middle of the water column. Are one each for, per person that we love doing and had the most confidence in. And we bounce back and forth, like I'd be working a drop shot, my buddy be working a jig or vice versa. And then I'd be working a jerk bait and he'd be working a swim bait on a 3/8 ounce ball jig and just swimming it through the water column. Or I'd pick up a tube, like we'd bounce back and forth between those things so that we were just trying to dial it in. And it was just really, really simple. Are they looking up or are they looking down? And once we nailed that down, like, oh shit, you got 5 bites in the drop shot. Okay, pick up everything else that's on the bottom now and let's go. And that was it. We tried to keep it as simple as that. But then you couple that with everything Sean said about location and everything. Yeah, you're good. That's the way to go about it.
You got to know though that like smallies are in one of 3 places. They're either on structure, chilling. They're just roaming around aimlessly, or they're chasing bait. Like that's what they do, right? They group back up and they school up, so they're in these like wolf packs, and they're either chilling on the rocks or like deep structure, ledges, humps, whatever, with their buddies, or they're smashing food at the buffet. Like that's what they do.
Yeah.
So like it's one of those 3 things. They're either like, I don't know where I'm going, and they're just like swimming around and they won't stop for anything. They won't bite anything. They're just on a mission to get to the buffet or the rocks or like a hump or something, or they're just chilling on the hump or they're smashing bait. Like smallies are they travel. They're quick movers. They like structure just like every other fish. They like to be able to hide and ambush prey, and they like eating. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
dude, your point there about they move quick. Man, that was the most eye-opening thing about forward-facing sonar was in the middle of winter, going down the Cape, some of those smallmouth ponds, and like, this is gonna be cool. Like, I hope I can find them, because I've always known they'd be really slow and lethargic. Nope. Those they're zooming. forever, nonstop. Those things
It's like
just don't
it's
stop.
like what is it? The Bane from Batman. It's like, I love the darkness, right? The smallies love the cold weather. Like they thrive in cold water. They spawn before largemouth in colder water. They spawn deeper than largemouth a lot of times. They love the cold water. Smallies hate the warmth. They're dark, right? They live in deep water. They love rock. They love hard bottoms. They love sandy bottoms. Those transitions, like,
Yes.
you gotta fish deep for them, and a lot of times you gotta stay on the trolling motor if you find them and you're able to kind of like get on them because they will move. Like you'll literally go and you're like, oh, there they are, and then you go to make a cast and you're like, where did they go?
Yeah.
You know, and then you're like, well, back to finding them again. So yeah, I mean, smallies are fun. They're challenging. For me, I think a lot of times largemouth fishing is more difficult than smallie fishing. I'll say it.
I actually agree with you. It's yeah. Especially on bigger bodies of water. Like, I don't know, for me, like I go out in a 5,000 plus acre lake. It's got largies and smallies. I'm going for smallies first every time because I know I can find them in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Just
Just go to a
like this
deep
time of
hole
year.
next to a ledge or like a creek swing or something like that, and like,
Yeah.
there you go. Oh, found a bait ball. Go chuck a bait around there and smash by smallies. You know,
Right.
largies are weird though. Like they're a little bit more lethargic. They're a little bit, I guess, they're bigger loners than smallies.
They're dumb.
I feel
Just
like
say it, Sean. They're dumb.
no, I mean, I think they're like really smart, right? But like, I think largies, it depends because there's like largies that live deep or deeper, and there's largies that live shallow. There's largies that live off of like somewhat sparse structure, and there's largies that live in the densest of stuff that you'll find, like that you can't even get a bait to. But like, typically, they're always the bigger fish gets the best hiding spot. Um, they're very territorial when it comes to that. They don't like to necessarily hang out with other friends. They try to push each other out. Where smallies, I feel like where you find one, you find another one and another one and another one, and then there's some more next to them. I just feel like largies are a little bit more. I don't know how to articulate it, right? Like they just hang out by themselves a little bit more than smallies. They don't tend to school up as much. There is times that they school up and you'll find a bunch of them. But that's typically like a bunch of little ones, or you'll find them all just like schooled up feeding. Like if you're fishing like dense structure or like weeds or something like that, the big ones like will just be by themselves, just chilling.
Agreed. Sean Place. What be your go-to big swim bait for smallmouth? Hard pass.
Come on. I was gonna say I'm gonna make you do this one. I did the last one.
No,
first.
what I'm trying to think. I legitimately don't think I've caught a smallmouth. No, I take that back. I've caught one smallmouth that I can remember on a big bait, and it was a bedding smallmouth 2 years ago on a Depths 250. It took 3 tries swinging it by the bed, and it came up and it just slapped the ever living crap out of the rear treble. I didn't snag it. Like I watched it, came right up and just engulfed the rear treble perfect on 3rd try. First 2 times it just like hit the middle of the body. I was like, okay. 3rd try, she got the treble. That's it. That is my success with smallmouth on big swim baits. So your turn.
For me, one of my favorite ways to catch smallmouth is on top water. So I'm gonna say this without being 100% proficient at it, but I know that it's there and I know that it exists, and I know that this year I'm gonna do it. Crawlers and wake baits, like giant, like stick walking style, like baits, like the cast down under,
Yeah.
right? Like that's one. like even like the Mega Dog too. Like those are things that, dude, I love throwing a spook. Love it, love it, love it. I love the topwater bite, and smallmouth is the best because they just like explode out of the water when they hit it. Smallies love, for me, I've had a lot of good success with glide baits and stuff like that on smallies. Last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I don't know, whenever it was, we were hammering smallies on glide baits, and then on the Defiant 210. We didn't get any really like good footage of it on camera because we were just fishing off the back deck for them. At that point, the way we had to position the boat, couldn't pull down, and like I had to turn it into the waves for the spot lock. But like, so we were both fishing on the back deck, but we did well on an 8-inch glide and the Defiant 210 for smallies. But I got myself a new camera, so now I can capture that stuff with the 360. So,
Ooh, you did get it.
yeah, I got the Insta 360. I went
Nice.
back and forth between the GoPro Max and the Insta 360, and everyone that I talked to, I think there was one person who was like, "Get the GoPro." Everyone else was like, "Insta." So we bought
Perfect.
the Insta.
Can't beat that, man.
Yeah.
Alec. Oh, wait, no, hang on. But we're talking about Steven. I slide 5-inch floating, won't go bigger than that. Working slow just under the surface. Pre-spawn smallies absolutely crush. He reminded me, one of the first expensive topwater or expensive baits I ever bought, and I still have it. I think I bought this thing like this is before my kid was born. I bought this probably 13 or 14 years ago. The Mega Bass Eye Loud, which is like a weird looking, jointed, propped, lipped topwater bait thing. And the thing's awesome. And I used to absolutely crush smallmouth on that bait, but it's a 4-inch. And then, yeah, there you go. That thing's beautiful. What color is that? That's not Wagasaki, is it?
I don't know. It's like
No. What the hell is that?
it's like a trout.
Oh,
Super cool. Very
that's
trouty.
beautiful.
Yeah. It doesn't get the love that it should.
Bastard fish.
No, well, I mean, listen, we got, I don't know if you can see it. We do have some teeth marks on it, though.
Yep.
See that? Yeah, we do have some teeth marks, but it doesn't get the love that it should.
That's how she goes. All right, we got a couple more here. I didn't realize it was already 9:15. And I would like to try and get another video recorded tonight. We shall see. Alec, when fish are spawning and you're not trying to pick off beds, what's your go-to bait or technique for finding bass, either pre-spawn or post-spawn? A swim jig. If it's largemouth, I'm like just hammering a swim jig. If I'm pretty confident they're post-spawn, I will also work in a weightless Texas rig fluke. And I will use that to comb the flats because I can work it fast, but also really slow and give it some pauses and give them time. And then, of course, just a jig, and I'll just pick it apart. Like when you get to that post spawn for largies, they don't move too far away from structure, and they like to start eating things off the bottom like pretty fast there. So I like a jig for a big profile, like give them a meal to like easily see and give it a little time on the bottom, not moving it very fast, very far. So they can, if they're still kind of in recovery mode, they can easily get to it. And they're like, oh, yep, no, that's an easy meal for me. I don't have to do much to get it. That's why I like the fluke as well. Like those are my go-tos. For smallmouth, tube. Tube is probably my favorite thing for searching for both pre-spawn and post-spawners. Spider jig, open water sniper are also very close behind on those, but there's something about a tube for that immediate pre-spawn, immediate post-spawn that is just like still decades later, insanely consistently good.
I don't throw enough tubes. I don't throw any tubes.
Tube. The only thing is, if you're gonna throw a tube a lot, you're gonna gut hook fish a little more often than you think. Because there's something about a tube, the way they bite it, man. I don't care how sensitive your rod is, you're not gonna feel it, and you're just gonna go to like just get distracted by something, and the next thing you know, you've left it sitting there for 10 seconds, and you go to move it, and you can't feel it, and you start reeling. You're like, oh crap. Then you know immediately, and you finally catch up to the fish, and the thing, it's already half digested by that point. Only on a tube. And that's the only thing I ever had that problem with. And it's not that often. And again, I've fished $600 custom spinning rods with braid to short floral leader. It's about as sensitive as you can get, pure carbon fiber handles. And I still can't feel when they do that. It just happens. I don't know. But you should throw a tube more often too. I love a tube.
I know
It's
I
so
really
much fun.
should, especially around here though. Like a lot of people crack them on a tube, especially with all the gobies that are around.
Yeah.
And I really should. I think for me, like growing up fishing, my dad took us fishing when we were kids, and like he really didn't know what he was. We didn't know what we were doing. Like we were really bad. And one of the things, and I'll never forget it, and I probably still have it. Like it's like in the basement of my mom's house, guaranteed.
Yeah.
He just had this really terrible, like old, like little tube box, and the box was like yay big, and it just had a bunch of different colored tubes in it. I remember it was like an opaque, like gray box, and I had these like unmarked, unnamed tubes in it, and it was just like throw a tube. Didn't know how to fish them, didn't know where to fish them, didn't know why we were fishing them, but like we were fishing a tube, probably where it didn't belong. And I think maybe he just ruined tube fishing for me, and I'm so reluctant to pick it up. But I gotta get on it. Swing head, tubes, wake baits, crankdowns, crawlers.
Got to get on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer Alex's question really quick. What is your go-to tube jig? I'm looking at him so I can get this right. Bite me tackle, the big dude goby head. Like if you want a big profile on that, they have rattles built in for an option on that. That's really good. Pretty much any of the bite me ones are good. I still throw lead ones. So Strike King and anything with a good gamakatsu or owner hook on it, I'm pretty happy with. I don't think I've actually used one that has a BKK hook on it. The Strike King ones are pretty good. The V&M Smalley tube hook, like that's a gnarly, like extra wide gap kind of hook. Like those are good. I don't know, man. Like I just try and find something that's got like a really good stout head to it. Oh, the Great Lakes Finesse Mini Pro tube. Like that's pretty gnarly if you throw in like teeny tiny little friggin' tubes. That's good. What are the tungsten options? Gonna go.
I don't know.
Man.
I don't fish a tube.
There was who the hell makes them? Swagger? I think Swagger makes
tungsten.
them. Which one?
I was gonna say Swagger tungsten.
Yeah, what's another one that's along those same lines? It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh man, you can find like that tungsten everywhere. Not woo, it's another one. Oh man, that's gonna bother me. It's Swagger, and then there's another one. I don't know. Anyway, like all those are good. You really kind of can't go wrong. But for me on a tube, I like a pretty stout hook. No, not woo. No, never. Never. All right, what else we got? We got Alec.
There's some good. I started a couple good ones there. I want to take Sean places at some point.
Oh yeah. Well, let's do that one really quick, and then we'll see what we got for time after that. There's a couple of good ones here too, but take that one. Do it.
Okay. So, Fizzing Fish. Shameless plug for Barb Elliott.
Yes.
If you do not know Barb Elliott, you should know Barb Elliott. She is on Facebook. She is awesome. She is a lover of all things equestrian, but also things that swim in wet areas. She is a giant fish lover. She works with Bassmaster and Bass in general on conservation. She is at the New England Fishing Expo. She's at some of the other expos. She has Barb's Fizz kits. If you do not have them, you need them in your boat. You should absolutely pick them up. Barb is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being, and what she does for the conservation of the sport is second to none. So go ahead and pick up some of Barb's fizzing kits. Now, with that being said, smallmouth typically need fizzing more often than largemouth, just because they live a little bit deeper. They don't have the ability to regulate their swim bladders the way that like trout and other fish do. Like if you notice when you hook a trout, they like burp air bubbles up as they come up. Bass do not. And so what ends up happening is their internals, their air bladder swells because of the pressure. It's like the bends when you're diving, scuba diving. their air bladder swells up and crushes some internal organs and stuff like that. And while they may not die right away, they will definitely die, later on. But fizzing fish is very, very important. It could be you brought them up too quickly, or they were just really, really deep. So just because you caught a fish in shallow water doesn't necessarily mean that they don't need fizzing. When you put them in the live well, you'll see them kind of just flop on their side and they have a hard time like swimming and hanging out on the bottom. They'll just kind of like float up top on their side. I always fizz and let them be comfortable. That being said, on the smallmouth bass, you go essentially 4 spines from the front of the bass, from their mouth back towards their tail. You count 4 spines, and then find out where their butthole is. Okay, their anus. And here, right, I'm going to try to do this. You draw a diagonal line like here. It's kind of weird trying to do it. You draw a line here, and then right at the top of their fin, there's like a cross point where it makes like an X. That's where you're going to enter the needle. Smallmouth, once you do it enough, it gets to be second nature where you're not counting spines. You're not like, it's just easy to see. It's the high spot on the side of their body. It's super easy to do, kind of go in at an angle underneath the scale, puncture the skin. Once you get in under their first layer of skin, turn the needle vertical to, or perpendicular to the fish, and then right down into the water and let them kind of just hang out. When they start to right themselves and swim away, you pull the needle out. Super easy. Barb has videos on fizzing fish. She teaches pro anglers and stuff how to fizz fish and care for them properly. Largemouth is a little bit different, a little bit more difficult. You're going to go between like the small dorsal fin and a large dorsal fin to the anus or the butthole, whatever you want to call it, straight down, high spot at the top of the fin, and fizz it. Again, it's going to be the high spot on the side of the fish. Oftentimes, largemouth are okay without being fizzed, but I have had to fish some largemouth, and like I've put some in the live well, and I'm like, dude, this guy's not doing so well. Like, what is his deal? I caught him in 4 feet of water. Like, what is going on? And I fizzed him. After a while, I fizzed him, and I was like, oh, he's doing much better. And he was able to swim away at weigh in, and hopefully he made it after that. But he was doing much better. So if the fish is kind of sitting on their side, it's time to fizz. If you haven't done it, ask for someone who's comfortable doing it. But it's something that you have to do it. And I feel like a lot of people are just too ignorant to learn, or they just don't care enough to learn. I mean, I've seen people at the top level not fizz fish. They just kind of like push them down in their live wells and go on with their day and make someone else do it. And Lord knows what happens to them afterwards, if they survive, if they make it, if not. Like, you're better off fizzing them, because if you put the needle in them and you put them in the water and all of a sudden they're like, get off me, dude. Like, I was just hanging out on my side. You're like, okay, well, that solves that, and you just let them be. You're not gonna. I haven't found that you're gonna hurt them by trying to fizz if you didn't need to fizz them.
Well said, sir. Agreed. It's funny. Tom or TJ and I did that tournament up on the St. Lawrence last September, and we weren't catching at it very deep, but Devin Willis made a comment here that I will throw up really quick. Where you were fishing seems to have a big effect on if you need to if you need to or not. And he's right. And yeah, with the St. Lawrence, we were catching our fish relatively shallow, but it's weird because those fish will move like from deep to shallow in such a short period of time that even though they can make that swim, it's like they just don't stop. And you catch them, and as soon as you pull them out of the water, all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, I came out of deep water. And they just blow over and roll over. Yeah, blow up and roll over. And we had to fizz every single one of our fish. As soon as we got him in, threw him in the live well, and Tom looking at it, be like, I got to fizz that. And he's got Barb's kit. He's been doing it forever up there. He's helped in like tournaments. So like, I trust him explicitly, and he did it. And I've been with him where he's done it and they put the fish in the live one. And he's like, I don't think I did that as well as I should have. And he'll take it out and he'll like go back through the motions again, and he'll do it until it's right. Mm-hmm. And he's never had to do it more than the twice. And it's rare that he has to do it a second time.
Yeah.
So anyway, we did that tournament. He has to fizz all those fish. We get there. Barb's at the weigh-in. She's helping out. And one of our fish, one of the first ones we caught, and it was a good one, was not looking good by the end of the day, but it was warm still. And we get him in, and she's looking at them all, and she looks at Tom. She goes, "Did you even fizz these?" And he's like, "What the crap, Barb? I've worked with you in tournaments before." It was funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to too, and like they'll tell you right away. Like if they have a hard time, like they have a hard time just like swimming down to the bottom of the live well and just sitting there like this.
Yeah.
You don't need to fizz them. If they're like floating up and like other fish are banging against them and they're just like floating on the surface, chances are you probably have to fizz them. Like you just when in doubt, fizz the fish. And like I saw a comment here on the St. Lawrence, like you got to fizz them, but on Champlain you don't.
Oh yeah,
I'll disagree with that one all day long. I've fished in plenty of tournaments on Champlain, and I fizz every single one of the smallies that comes up. Majority of time when I'm fishing a tournament on Champlain, I'm fishing in 20 plus feet, or fish are in 20 plus feet. A lot of times they're 30 feet deep over 50 feet, over a 50-foot bottom or a 70-foot bottom. They're 50 feet deep, 40 feet deep over a 70-foot bottom. And like, I'm fizzing them. I know a lot of people that don't, and they do okay. But again, I said it with the tournaments that I'm involved with or like that I run. If I can't do it 100%, I'm not doing it. And so I'm fizzing those fish. I just feel like that's the right thing to do. And I fizz them. And I've yet to lose fish. Knock on wood. I've yet to lose or kill a fish that I fizzed when I caught it in deep water. But I've seen a lot of other people at the dock after weigh-in struggling to revive that fish and sitting there at the dock like, he's going to swim away. He's going to swim away.
yeah.
And I've had to fizz the fish for him and stuff like that and give the fish a fighting chance, and it swam away. And other times it's like, dude, it's too late, man. This thing's been banging around in your live well all day long and you haven't fizzed them. Like, go get yourself some needles, watch some videos, start doing it and be comfortable doing it. And if you fail, well, guess what? You're having fish tacos tonight, man. You just got to do it. And I will say, do not try to fizz fish through the mouth. I see a lot of people trying to do it. I think that it's very dangerous for the fish if you try to fizz them above their throat, basically, like underneath the crusher plate. Like, I just don't do it.
No. Tell
Moving
you
on.
what, I think we'll see.
Go
This
ahead.
might be the last one. What percent of your day do you spend graphing versus fishing when going to a new body of water? That entirely depends. Okay, no, that's a lie. I talk about graphing a lot, but I don't really do it a lot unless I'm going for a tournament. If I know there's a tournament coming in, then I will spend a long time graphing. There is a couple of tournaments where I have spent 8 of my 10 hours on the water just side imaging, and between side imaging and then getting up on the trolling motor and using 360 and forward facing sonar. But if I'm just going out fun fishing, I don't care how big it is, dude. I'm just gonna go out there and wet a line and try to figure them out. And now, if it's like this has happened only on the St. Lawrence River. We were up there for 9 days. We're just like, we'll just figure it out. It's gonna be great. And by day 2, it was pretty bad. Then we started taking our time to side image. We'd look in the map. Yep, that looks like a good area. Run over, spend 15, 20 minutes side image, getting ideas to what we're seeing. Okay, then we'll fish. But like, that's the extent of it fun fishing. This is 2 totally different animals for me.
I will agree. I don't have enough time on the water to waste any time fishing. So right now I spend a lot more time with a line in the water than I do on the graph. But I will say, if I pull up to a spot and I'm like, okay, we're catching them in 8 to 12 feet of water off of like steep rises or ledges, adjacent to flats next to deep water, or we're catching them on big expansive flats here with easy access to deep water or whatever, around sparse grass or grass that's starting to come up or rocks or whatever it may be. The map will give you some information to kind of start with, and you can dial in your maps to say, like, these are the depths that you want to focus on. And from there, you can make your decisions. And I pull up and I immediately start to use my side imaging and sonar to kind of check and just reconfirm that I'm in the right area before I turn the motor off and stand up and get on the trolling motor. But it's very short lived for me. If I start seeing, like, if I'm catching them around like sparse grass, and right now out here, anything that's like starting to grow in like 8 feet and less is really where I'm finding success right now. Um, Once I see the first sign of, some grass on the bottom, I'm motors off, grass off in the back. I'm standing on the trolling motor and I'm chucking something.
Yep. The one thing I do have to add to my previous statement is I've got Mega 360 on my boat. So even though I'm trolling motor down and line in the water and fishing, I am essentially graphing 100 feet of water around me 100% of the time. So I can't say that I'm always just going in blind. I see so much with that Mega 360. I understand why people don't have it when they went forward facing sonar, but man, on a new body of water, it's that 1-2 punch. It's deadly. It's so deadly. There's just things that I can still find with my Mega 360 that I cannot nearly as easily find with my forward facing sonar.
Yeah, the 360 is cool. I mean, I've seen it. I've been on people who have it, been on their boats. It's something that I'm very interested in. I chose to throw my financial resources into LiveScope
Yeah.
and not onto 360. Who knows what'll happen in the future, but right now I'm all LiveScope. But I do think 360 is a really cool tool.
I will, considering your Cayuga, you're not too far from Oneida, the amount of vegetation you have up there, but then also the hard structure in the middle of that, which is good. Your bigger boulders and your patchy areas. There's a lot of stuff like that up on Champlain too. And a friend gave me a spot, an area that was up in Champlain for my tournament last year. And which was awesome because that kind of really helped paint a picture of, like, he's like, go find this, and then you will understand why it's so hard for people to find that in other places. And it was essentially just 3 boulders in, I'm trying to think, 6 or 7 feet of water. It really wasn't that deep, but the vegetation throughout all of that was within a foot of the surface everywhere. Never ever once saw any of those boulders on my forward facing, but I could see them on my 360. And it was hard to see it, but I could see it. And that was enough because I could see it and I could see exactly how I was positioned to it. Because other than that, with the water being as stained as it was up there with whatever the friggin' hell happens up there, the brain, what happens when all the water gets colored and it's not good? Bacteria?
You're talking like algae blooms?
Yeah. Wow. I could not remember the word algae. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Algae bloom. It looked like it was just like that pollen covering everything, just like yellow. You literally could not see through the water at all. And I never would have known that rock was there if I didn't have 360. It was ridiculous. We did cover that. Okay. All right. Tell you what, last one from Drew, and then we'll wrap it up because it's already 9:35. We're just setting records back to back here for freaking how long these shows have been going on lately, man. That last one last week with Oliver was nutty. That was a little over 2 hours. But Drew, tips on fishing for post-spawn fish and current. Can you help on that? Because I certainly cannot, because I rarely fish current.
So I don't fish current often, but there's current that runs through some of the Great Lakes. So like Erie, Ontario, there's current. I don't get up to St. Lawrence as often as I'd like. That has current in it, 100%. Ontario and Erie both have current. Oneida has a little bit of current too. So like the Erie Canal runs through Oneida. So there's like an entry point and an exit point. When I'm fishing current, I'm fishing it one of 2 ways. I'm intentionally targeting structure and fish that are hanging out waiting to ambush fish as they're coming by in the current. Oftentimes when I'm fishing that current, I'm targeting smallmouth. Smallmouth like the current a little bit more than the largies do, and the bodies of water around me. That's what I'm fishing when I'm fishing current is smallmouth. They will hide on like where the slack water is, or like the inside of swings and stuff like that, and so things go rocketing by them. So like on the close edge to something, if the river's going like this, the smallies will be like here, right here. Sorry, they won't be over here where the current's really ripping and kind of coming around. On Ontario and Erie and stuff like that, a lot of times when we're fishing current, we're not spot locked. And so I feel like a lot of people, since spot lock has come out, everyone feels like they have to spot lock and like just stay there and like cast at things. Anytime you can just kind of drift. I've had a lot of luck drifting on big bodies of water when everyone else seems to be just like spot locked, surfing waves, taking water over the bow. I'm just going with the waves, not getting completely wet, and just dragging something, whether it's like a heavy drop shot weight to keep the weight on the bottom, or I'm dragging like a heavy paddle tail or something. Drifting is a really good way, especially for where I'm fishing and what I'm doing, to be able to use the current in my favor, because the bait fish and the things that the fish are eating are traveling in that current at that speed. So if I can keep it more natural, I've found greater success doing that. I've caught fish when others haven't by drifting, and they're spot locked and like trying to cast at things. I'd rather just like pull up and go, there's fish in this area, and you start here and you go here, and you just kind of make the best of it with these long drifts, and then you just put the trolling motor up, get back on the big motor, and go do it again. There's been lots of tournaments that I fished out on the Great Lakes here, just doing that all day, and I don't know, it's kind of boring, but it's hard to say that it's boring when you're reeling in big fish and they're peel and drag all day long. So, I don't know. I hope that helps. I'm not a master by any means with like river fishing or like heavy current. But the places that they have current, that's where I find my success.
Perfect, man. I like it. I think that's gonna wrap it up. I'm tired. I'm starting to lose it. Ugh. Let's see. So I finished a video that's trying to think ahead here for the next week and a half to 2 weeks. I finished a video. It's probably not gonna go as well as I hope. But then again, I've been surprised, so we'll see. But well, we'll just wait and see. And then Mr. Miller here has also created a video. I'm gonna do. Did you end up doing the editing that I did, or you just took the original that you had sent me and just 4K 60 frames sent? Okay, so I'll redo that. And
we did a little bit of mashing and editing and stuff like that, but we sent the video. Sean's gonna put his final spin on it.
Oh, Swimbait action. I will do my video probably for Friday. I'll throw yours up on Monday. We got a live stream Wednesday. If all goes well, I can record and finish editing and have a video posted for Friday next week as well. I'd like to try and kind of keep that train rolling. We'll see. There's a couple of different ideas for topics I'm kicking around that I'll just film in this setting. So anyway, then after that, I'm going to have 5 days worth of Champlain footage we're going to have to go through. That's going to take a while to get all that edited and posted. But I'm excited for that because that's always a good time. And then after that, I don't know, man, we're just going to keep going with this. I'll keep you all posted on whatever the hell is going to happen with the live stream next week. I'd like to do it. I think it's feasible. I just need to figure out how to get the proper equipment up there, because I don't want to, like what Sean was saying, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And if I can't do it right, then I'm not going to do it. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm rambling. Anyway, thank y'all for watching tonight. Greatly appreciate it. Before you go, if you didn't leave a like, whether you're watching here on YouTube or Facebook, doesn't matter. It helps a lot. Thank you very much for doing so. I totally forgot to ask for that at the beginning. I'm done. Sean, do you have any parting thoughts?
No. Happy Wednesday. Looking forward to fishing 2 days this weekend. We're going to test out a new prop, see if we can't catch some fish. And then we're going to do it all again next week.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and I'm excited to put my my new Bahio silver mirror lenses to a real test this weekend here. I've got 2 days of bright sun, maybe some clouds sprinkled in, to put a new lens color to the test here. So we're gonna beat them up a little bit, see what we can come up with.
I got my Zapatas with the rose mirror on them.
How do they fit?
You know what? They fit right, but I think I prefer the Toads because those fit a little tight. But I don't feel like my sunglasses will ever move, and it's wrong because the Zapatas fit, but if I whip my head a little too fast, they'll jostle. And now I'm already used to the Toads that fit like snug, not painful, not even uncomfortable. They just fit snug. I can whip my head around, they don't move. And
so put a keeper on it. Put a keeper on it, or just don't move your head back and around.
It's one of those. I will always have both in my boat, especially going up on the Champlain. If I put those Toads on, they're never going to move, period. So like when I go to do my long runs on Champlain or any other big lake, I'm going to have the Toads on. If I'm just kind of farting around and I'm not doing any crazy runs, and I'm probably going to wear the Zapatas the most. I really like that rose mirror. It's a sexy color.
Yeah, it's dope. It's cool. And don't forget, if you want some sunglasses, we have 20% off Bahio sunglasses. All you need to do is send myself or Sean Snover a message. We'll be happy to give you Melinda's contact number, and you text or call her and mention Real Northern Bass, and you get 20% your order. 20% off your order. So, I mean, it's super simple, super easy, and it's a wonderful way to pick up a fresh pair of shades for your eyes.
On that note, we're done. Everybody have a great night. See you next week.